Morning everyone, welcome back to day 6. We're into the penultimate day now, so keep going, we're nearly there. So yesterday I introduced this idea of contralateral stability, whereby if one leg is up in the air, then we need this stability in order to keep this side nice and level. So in the case of the pelvis, of course, if we're standing on our right leg, we don't want the pelvis to be dipping down like so, okay? So we need to use our oblique medius muscles on our right side in order to keep us level, and also our oblique muscles on our left in order to keep that pelvis stable as well. So it's basically like a seesaw effect. So we've got here and here both contracting to go from this position into this position. Alright, so when these muscles are weak, like more often than not they are in runners, then quite often it results in what is known as a Trendelenburg gait, okay? Whereby the hip does drop down when we're running along, and then we go into our next stride, and then it dips down again, okay, and so on. Obviously we want to combat that because that can cause issues such as lower back pain. So if we're dropping down, we might get some lower back pain on the side we're dropping down in that QL muscle. But also we might get IT band syndrome as well, runner's knee. I get people asking me about runner's knee all the while, so anyone who is suffering from that, this is a good exercise for you to do, because as you drop down, you're stretching through the IT band on this side and placing lengthening strain upon it, and that's why we obviously get inflammation around the knee. So the exercise I'm going to cover today is going to be great in order to combat that. So we're going to do something slightly different and do a side plank today, okay, which is going to focus particularly on the obliques but also the oblique medius muscles as well. So we can do this either in the forearm position or the straight arm. I'll show you both, but I prefer this one personally on the forearm. Now before we start, we want to go through a few technical points for this one, because it's a new sort of position that we're going into. So we want to make sure that there's a straight line all the way down our body, okay? So we don't want to be twisting and turning like this, and we don't want to have our knees bent or anything like that. So we want our feet stacked, straight line all the way down the side of the body. So as you look down, it should be nice and level. Okay? And then we're going to push up into our plank, and again we want to make sure that our shoulder to elbow alignment is good, okay? So we don't want to be out sort of like that, okay? We want to make sure that we're nice and level to avoid excessive strain onto that shoulder joint. So we can go up into this position, or we can do it with the arm straight. It really doesn't matter too much. Again, like with a normal plank, I don't particularly mind which one you do as long as you're doing it correctly. Now if you are really struggling with this one, what you can do is you can bend the bottom leg and put the lower leg behind you, and then go up into that position, whereby we're working our obliques still, but of course we're not concentrating as much of our body weight onto that muscle as we would be in this fully extended position. But again, unless you physically can't do the full version, I would advise wherever possible to try and do the more advanced one if you can. Okay, so today's challenge is just going to be to hold our chosen side plank, okay? Now, if we feel like we're starting to dip down, make sure that you just tell yourself to get back up again, okay? If you can't get back up again, then stop, because that is, of course, failure. So we don't want to continue through failure, because otherwise we can potentially do ourselves injury, and also we're not going to get as much of a training effect from it, okay? So, of course, because this is unilateral, we're only working really one side. Once we've done it to failure on one side, then of course we will turn around and do the same thing on the other side as well after a couple of minutes or so recovery. you need it. Okay, so again, let me know how you get on. Please continue to like, share, comment, etc. And I'll see you tomorrow for the final challenge.